Welcome, all fellow wannabes. Welcome to the show. I am Gabriel Fast. I am one of your hosts. You're listening to The Wannabe Critic. Joining alongside me is my partners in crime, Caleb Henley and Mikey Collins. Caleb, how you feeling, bro?
Man, life's good.
That's good. That's good to hear. You were drinking a Yingling, and it made me I was getting kind of FOMO-y, you know what I mean? So I had to get one myself, and I had one in the mini fridge right here, which is I've been ordering stickers to put on it, you know what I mean? Like, because I want to get it, like, decked out and stickery looking. Mostly just for clout, you know what I mean? Mikey, good to see you. How are you doing?
I am doing good.
Good evening. Gentlemen, I want to just formally take this time to thank you. I'm not going to lie, the end of this movie had me a little bit emotional. Want to formally thank you for helping me bring this podcast back to life and keep it consistent. It's been a lot of fun, and I couldn't imagine it without you guys. So I'm glad you guys are feeling good. We actually just did a podcast before this, which you can stay tuned for. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you can stay tuned for it. We're here to talk about Fast 7. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to The Wannabe Critic, as I said before, your weekly stop for diversity, anything from random topics to comic reviews to album reviews to interviews to movie and TV show reviews. We're reviewing Fast and the Furious right now. You can go find all of our other Fast and the Furious reviews on this podcast feed. In our constant efforts and attempts to make quality content, we have branched off into several podcast feeds, of which are available to you right now. If you want information on those, you can go to wannabecritic.com and look at all the information on them. We got Game Club, A Guy and His Wife, and what's the other one? Storytime, a Star Wars podcast. Sorry, I've been in my own head for the past few months with these projects, and it's kind of hard for me to, I forget sometimes. But we're not here to talk about any of that crap. Caleb, are we that uninteresting that you got to be on your phone because you hate us? You hate us. Caleb's over here just like, like.
6 months ago, before the whole Zoom thing, you guys would have had no idea because we'd be doing this through Discord. I'm just gonna turn my video off.
No. And now we can see pictures you are. This is going on YouTube, Caleb, either way, so it's up to you. And we don't want people to watch this and be like, oh, who's that Caleb guy? He's a real douche. He's not keeping his camera on.
On YouTube.
Dude, yeah, every single one of these reviews go on YouTube. So now you know. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. As I mentioned before, man, this is already off to a great start. Like, literally, I'm already happy with how this has started. We're here to talk about Fast 7, and this is kind of a different episode, I think, because to me, this episode or this movie, it's just not Fast and Furious anymore. Like, not even, there's like nothing left of it really, other than characters who have good chemistry. That's about what it boils down to. Yeah, Mikey's like ish, and obviously, Paul Walker died before this got done filming, and you can feel it in the movie. The movie's different, especially like with the way the characters act in certain scenes and stuff. It's just kind of like, wow, it's just kind of surreal that they even finished it, but they did. And I mean, I feel like it's still a wildly entertaining ride, honestly, if you try and get to the point where it's like, okay, well, this isn't really Fast and Furious anymore. And we'll get to why I say stuff like that in a little bit. So, but as the ritual calls for, gentlemen, we're going to go around the room. And now, since Mikey has shifted to the left and Caleb's below, Caleb, I'm going to have Mikey go first. Mikey, do you like this movie?
Oh man, it's hard. That's a hard question. Like this movie specifically, because it is the final movie with Paul Walker, like in it, and I'm gonna say no, because like they do go for those feels,
you coward. Are you kidding me?
I don't like it, dude. Like,
excuse yourself. I hate you.
How can you like this movie?
Yes, I do. But I'll get to my reason in a second. Caleb's gonna have a hard time.
He's having a conniption. Like, it's difficult.
Every single movie Every Fast and Furious movie since Fast 2, Mikey's like, no, do not like.
Tokyo Drift.
I'm kidding. Okay, well, you're well founded in your opinion, even though you're a coward. Caleb,
My opinion.
Caleb, throwing it to you. Do you like this movie?
Yeah, of course I like this movie. What the crap?
You coward.
I'm not watching this movie and not being thoroughly entertained by all the stupid crap that's happening. It's wild. What are we talking about?
I think I would have a different, like, if I was just watching these movies like I used to, it's different because I'm looking for things, you know. I'm having, like, being critical of it. But
Yeah.
If I was 13 again and whatever, I'd say, heck yeah, I love these movies. I still
Right.
love these movies, but like from a critical standpoint, heck no, I don't like this movie.
Yeah,
Well-
of course, none of these movies are going to win an Oscar for Best Picture or any type of award ever. But they're also not going to go and win a Razzie either. Like, come on! Like, these movies know exactly what they are. You know what you're getting into going into them, and it's perfectly fine. Like, I don't get why we have to be so like absolutely critical with this and not like it. And it's the best part about these movies to me is how we can razz on all this stupid stuff. Like, I can watch this movie with my wife and we can just look at each other and laugh because of how ridiculous and how dumb these movies are. It makes it fantastic. It's like watching Spaceballs. Like, it's great because it's like a parody of itself.
Use the Schwartz.
It's so weird. But and then Gabe's just like, yeah, well, this isn't even like a Fast and the Furious movie anymore. And it's like, well, we've had more movies like this than we had in the first two movies that were like the original first two movies. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like, they're different and it's evolved as a series, but come on. Like, seriously. Why are we being so critical about these movies?
Caleb, I love your passion and I love your Caleb's fired up. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Did something, the ninth gate just opened inside of Caleb just now. Yeah, literally. Okay, and to Caleb's, you know, I like how Mikey brings the complete opposite of what Caleb brings, and this is the conversation that I hope we would end up having eventually. Is, yeah, Mikey says, yeah, don't like it, it sucks, and Caleb goes, freaking idiot, you know what I mean? And then we get into it, and then, you know, one of us always usually falls somewhere in the middle, and I feel like having someone on the show that does kind of keep that consistent critical eye can definitely spark that fire in one of us. Like, what are you talking about? Even if it ends up being 2 against 1, and having that voice of confidence is nice. And everyone really being able to find that voice of confidence is really kind of what we're continuing to do, you know, as podcast hosts. So I'm very interested to see where this conversation goes. So Caleb likes it. I loved your spiel just then, Caleb. Well said. Well founded in your opinion, even though you're too also a coward. Just kidding. I like this movie for different reasons, even though it's the formula has changed, it has evolved. It's not really. I had an epiphany while I was watching this movie. I was like, is this entertaining? Yes, I'm having a good time with it. I am enjoying this movie. I like the original formula better, and I wish we had more of that, is all I'm saying. I wish that, but that's not, it's like, well, if I want that, I should just go play a Need for Speed game. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Cause you're going to get kind of that in the gameplay and in the B, A- acting, you know, with the mocap and stuff that you're going to find in those games. And the fact of the matter is the goal of this studio is to make these movies as big and bombastic and just kind of like what as possible. And the thing that I noticed about this movie was the cast absolutely ate it alive. They absolutely looked like they were having the time of their life. And there's one scene in particular, a side of Vin Diesel I'd never seen before, when he takes the car and jumps it through the building, and he's like, in that sense of like, oh crap, you see it on his face, and he's like, oh god, like, and I'm like, oh, I liked seeing that side of Vin Diesel's character and things like that. But before we get into those little details, we need to get better about kind of giving a general overview of what this thing is about, or what these movies about. And in not so many words, basically the big baddie, this is basically a sequel to Fast 6. The big baddie from the last movie has a brother which is Jason Statham. Jason Statham is out for blood. He's kind of like nigga, Dominic Toretto a little bit. Has a little bit more, kind of that same level of BA to him, but in a different way. And like, there's that scene where, they crash head on, collision each other, and they each get out of the car, and Vin Diesel's like, I'm gonna mess you up, and Jason Statham's like, did you think this was gonna be a street fight? Like that part. Like I just things like that. And there are so many things I like about this movie, but basically Jason Statham's out to take down the Fast and the Furious family, and that's basically the movie that we get. In a nutshell, that's what it is. And Hobbs is there too. Why do I like Hobbs in this movie? Why do I like him now?
Right?
It's so little. It's like you get such a limited portion of him.
Yeah, and he's like humanized a little bit. Like he's not like, stay out of my way.
Kinda.
I like how in the first scene we see him sweating. Why is he always sweating?
Dude, yeah, I made notes on that.
Yeah, like he is always sweating.
It's the same reason that like bodybuilders are always like rubbing themselves with like oil and stuff. It makes them look better and bigger and tougher.
Yeah, that's true. It's just an aesthetic thing. It's an aesthetic thing. But so that's the general overview of the movie that I just said. And obviously we do really like, we all have mixed emotions. I like the movie. Caleb likes the movie. Mikey doesn't like the movie. So we're going to get into it. Okay. High points first. Caleb, I'm going to throw it to you.
High points. I love the opening where he's in the hospital and Jason Statham's in the hospital and he's just talking to his brother, and then he just like walks out and you can just see like all the crap that he's done, even though it doesn't make any sense. And he just gets in the Jag and drives off. And it's just like, holy crap, like that guy is intense. I do like Statham's character a lot, actually. Like he's, as a bad guy, is kind of incredibly likable, and it's just like kind of the stoic bad guy that this series has been missing for a little bit. I think that he does a really, really good job. And I'm glad that they were able to get him to come back for the next couple of movies too, because he's a good character. I just like Jason Statham. Other high points for me. It's just, I love the scene in the beginning too, where Paul Walker's like in the car and you can see him like revving up, and it's just like, he's like getting ready to race, and then he like hits the gas, and it's just like him pulling up in a minivan. I love that just because of how like it like tricks you. I remember seeing this in the theater like with a group of friends, and us all just kind of like cracking up about that because it's so ridiculous.
Very self-aware.
It's very, very, very self-aware. That's what I think is really cool about this movie, is it is very self-aware. It knows it's ridiculous. I love all the crazy, stupid stunts, the jumping the cars out of the planes, jumping the car through 3 buildings. I love the stupidest part or stupidest scene in literally all of these movies, which also might be my favorite scene in all of these movies, is when The Rock flexes out of his cast in the hospital and says, "Daddy's got to go to work." And then he steals an ambulance and crashes it into a drone, rips the machine gun off of the drone, and then proceeds to shoot down a helicopter. It's the most ridiculous sequence of events like ever. Just all of it ever. But the fact that it starts with him flexing out of his cast is just, it's so hilariously self-aware of how stupid and ridiculous these movies are.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
I think there's a lot of, like we talk about this self-awareness. And I even buy a lot of, I like how they kind of put a flashback sequence in for Dom and Letty, as Letty's kind of like getting her memory and stuff, and kind of like maybe even realizing that story didn't really hit, and it still doesn't really hit the same. It doesn't really hit for me in this one. It does it better though, I think, in this one than the last one. But I feel like every character in this movie knows their role and their place for the most part, and they try to make it work to the best of their ability, and realizing like, yeah, we're going to make this as big as we possibly can, So yeah, the sheer ridiculousness, and Jason Statham, he is the transporter in this movie. Like literally, like that's the same vibe I get of who he is in this movie, is like, oh, he's gone back into that transporter mode. You know what I mean? Like just very stoic is the right word, but Yeah, continue though if you have more high points.
Just one other thing I'll mention too. I really like actually the character of Mr. Nobody. He's just kind of hilarious in that he's just this government agent that works for some vague government agency, and that he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna fund all of this stuff and it's gonna be off the books and we're just gonna do whatever the crap you guys want. He's like the perfect like enabler for their crew. That Hobbs didn't really fill that shoe super well because he's so serious.
Yeah.
I think Nobody fills it much better because he's almost just as ridiculous as they are.
Yeah.
In certain way. Like the point, like where they're in that shootout with in the warehouse, and he gets shot and he just turns around and like winks. So I think it's Dom.
Mhm.
I can't remember if it's Dom or Bryant, but he just like winks at them and then he like falls. He gets shot like multiple more times. It's just like it's so ridiculous, but he fits into that crew in a way that Hobbs just really didn't because he was too serious.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes me-
and just like kind of maybe adding that to the formula like was something that needed to happen a long time ago, you know, kind of, even though maybe not necessarily adding that person, I don't know, because he dies in this movie, you know, and
No, he doesn't.
Mr. Nobody.
No, he gets shot, but he's fine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I must have missed that. I didn't get to watch the entire thing, and there was a little bit that I missed, so I thought he had died. But okay, well, good. Well, I would love to see. You know, I can't remember if he's in the next one or what, but or if he dies in the next one. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like that component has kind of been missing for a while. You know.
Positive in the next one. I'm pretty sure.
Good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for the most part. But overall, yeah, I like this movie a lot.
Okay. All right. Well said. I like it. All right, Mikey. You just go, man. Just go.
I have things I like about this movie.
Okay, let's hear it.
So
Freaking coward.
I absolutely like it. It tugged at my heartstrings as soon as Dom went to Tokyo and they started playing that Tokyo Drift music. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I love that because I was like, I know exactly what scene that from is in Tokyo. I really like that, and I loved Tez. I know it's not a race car, but I loved Tez's like bulletproof Jeep. That thing was dope. I really enjoyed seeing that and like him like taking all the bullets and them all getting in line and actually doing like car maneuvers and stuff. That was really cool. I enjoyed that scene a lot, and like and like the practicality of how they actually threw cars out of a plane and all those cars and got actual footage and incorporated in the movie. I really liked that. And then I hated everything that The Rock did after he got out of the hospital. Gotta be honest. But I did love the "Woman I Am the Cavalry." That's probably one of the most quotable lines from these after the first trilogy movies. Like I love that line a lot. That's a good line. But and obviously the good send off they did for Paul. I mean, that was touching for sure, and I enjoyed that. And that hit me hard in real life when that happened. So I loved to see that, and then the respect that they gave him and sending him off and taking the time to rewrite the movie and like incorporate his character more into it, you know, as much as they could with what they had. But other than that, it's pretty much downhill.
Okay. Well, let's take a time. Let's kind of before we start crapping on it, because there's stuff there for sure. And I'm not gonna have a ton of negative things to say just because I just kind of stopped caring after the last movie. I was just looking for the good. You know, it's kind of like I'm just looking for the good, and the critical lens gets a little bit of dust on it. You know, and it's like I don't want to wipe it off. It's fine. Let's talk about the Paul Walker thing, you know, because for me, I remember watching this, you know, in real life, and me and you, Mike, you know, it hit us hard. And, you know, I remember watching it and tearing up then, you know, whenever that happens and seeing all the montages of him from the other movies, and like, it hit me hard then. And I was 19, 20 whenever it first came out, and that's been 5 years ago, you know. And now watching it, like I'm watching it, I'm like just kind of like watching it, and that part, you know, happens like whenever the piano starts in when they're on the beach, and just seeing Dom do his thing, and thinking to myself like these movies are good, like these movies are entertaining, and like these movies are like a part of me, and even though like there's parts that are so flawed, so incredibly flawed, like it's in my DNA in so many ways. And seeing Paul Walker pull up, and like whenever the split happens, and like really it kind of hits that emotional drive, and I find myself totally fine. And then in an instant, whenever those pictures start showing, or that, the video footage, like that, I don't know, just seeing him so young, like not that much older than me now, and all these things start playing, like I found myself like tearing up again. This is the second time I've watched this movie. I'm like tearing up again and thinking like, wow, time, time has really passed by, and things have really changed, since I was a kid. And you just kind of have like this weird sense of like, wow, I'm getting old, I'm like getting older, and life is just such a precious thing. And really like don't squander it. Like there's this analogy that people have of like, okay, or not this analogy, people say like, oh, if you want something, you just got to grab and, go out and take it. And I think people think that means that you actually like get something given to you. And that's not what they're meaning. They're saying like, do what you have to do to get the thing that, you need, whatever that thing may be. And that process is different from everybody. I think Paul Walker, if you do a little bit of research on him, he was very like philanthropic, I think is the right word. He donated lots of money to different charities, and he worked hard, like in various areas where, there are hurricanes and poor areas. And, just seemed like one of those guys, like you just want to kind of be friends with, just seemed like a genuinely good dude. And it's sad that he's gone, but the experiences we've had with these movies, I don't think it's the same. It wouldn't have been right to make this movie without incorporating his character, and it's this entire movie is a really nice send off for him, even though he kind of takes a backseat in the movie in a lot of ways during it. But it's an incredibly enjoyable experience, and in that moment, it kind of hit me like, wow, like these movies mean more to me than I realized, even though they have flaws. And speaking of flaws, let's not bring it down, And I mean, do you guys want to say anything about the Paul Walker thing? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, it feels like this whole movie, and it's really weird because like half of this movie or 3/4 of this movie was shot while he was alive, and then it was finished after he had passed. And it's really weird because you can feel the emotion throughout the movie that the actors have in their scenes with him, that it's like they know that this is their last time with him. And it's really interesting how the story is almost kind of painted too, and that this is like his last go, with them. And then, yeah, the way that whole end goes, it's like, man, I don't think they could have done that any better. I think for a series that is as ridiculous as it is, and, isn't serious, for them to take a step back and do something serious and to do it with meaning is really, really incredible. And yeah, I mean, I remember watching in the theater, and you get to that point and it's just like, holy crap, it's like, man, this sucks. And this makes you really like feel something, for that character and for that person. Is it, yeah, it's like, man, I'm never going to see this character again. I'm never going to see this actor again in a movie. And it's just, yeah, it sucks, and it's sad. But I feel like this movie really deserves, I think, applause in a sense for the way that they're able to handle such a tragic thing that happened to him, and they're able to send him off in the right way. And not all movies do that. I mean, you think about the one that sticks out to me is like Heath Ledger and the Joker, but it's not like that movie did anything necessarily to send him off. I mean, it's an incredible performance that Heath Ledger did, but he didn't get the tribute in the same way, and it kind of sucks. But man, it's just like this sent him off in such a good, perfect way. It's like, it's great. It's really, 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 really commendable.
Yeah, totally. I definitely agree with that, Mikey.
Man, I just had so many thoughts when Caleb was talking. Yeah, they did a really good job, and like, I find it funny that this movie is like right when you start feeling like, oh, so that's who Brian really is, and then that's all you get. Like it's just over, because like you want to see like where he goes like with his family, and you want to see that, and I don't think they meant to make you feel that way, but like you don't want to say goodbye. I mean, like, and you could tell none of them wanted to, like, even like with their characters, but you could tell that was a real emotion they were feeling. That's some of the best non-acting I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like movie, for what this movie is and what the characters and the actors are like, and they know what they do. You could tell that was real. And kind of off topic, it's probably some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in Fast and Furious, because Brian O'Connor is like the only trained, besides Hobbs, I guess, is the only trained like fighter.
Yeah.
So like it looks real, and you can tell he put a lot of work into those scenes that he did himself. And I just that I did really enjoy about this movie, and I think they did a good job with that for sure.
I think Brian O'Connor in this movie is a very solid character. There's Brian hasn't been cringy since Fast and Furious 2, in my opinion. Like he's been solid. He's been probably, if not the most solid, least questionable parts of these movies. For a while, And yes, it is sad to see him go, and it's sad to know that we won't see that character again, but they did it. They could not have done it in a better way. And even in the next movie, they're like, guys, we can't bring Brian and Mia into this, or whatever. And that's going to be cool, to go through that. But yeah, as I said before, like this movie's in my DNA. Like whenever I got to this moment again for a second time, I'm like, wow, these were such a big part of my childhood, and just the hype every summer of holy crap, or every other summer, holy crap, like let's go watch it, and laugh and have a good time. And it's important to me for sure, and I'm glad I've been able to talk about these movies, and with you guys, people who are just as passionate about the series as I am, or not passionate, but just enjoys the series as much as I am for all of its flaws, and who enjoys talking about its flaws. So let's segue into that and talk about this movie's flaws, and talk about just the sheer ridiculousness that this movie has, because there's so much from the, one more dope thing before even, and it's ridiculous, but whenever the cars, the whole plot to get the traveling RV and that whole 23-minute segment or whatever, like to, get Ramsey and all this other stuff, some of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my entire life. But I'm just like so wildly entertained. I'm like, this is awesome, and whenever they do send Brian into the RV and he takes care of business, he's fighting that, that Asian fellow, and too slow. Like I thought that was hilarious, and just whenever that RV starts to slide off the cliff and he's like climbing through it, I'm like, all right, here we go. Here comes the Uncharted 2 trope yet again. Like, go ahead, Caleb.
No, I was just gonna say Uncharted 2. At this point, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Also, Jurassic Park: Lost World.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's becoming something that we're just gonna see for the end of time.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna stop.
Never gonna stop. Just barely making it as it's falling off its thing. Like you're running on the top of it. There you go. I did like that scene though, but I'm gonna throw it to Mikey. And just let him lead the discussion as far as the negative is concerned, because I really don't have a lot to say other than I just don't really care about the plot as much. There's things that I enjoy, but nothing that I'm like nothing that I felt like I needed to put effort into bringing out that probably was already gonna be brought out anyways. So Mikey, take it away.
I mean, I have a couple more positive things. I mean, like, I like that they brought Hector back, and you got to see that he made it legit. He's out there racing at Race Wars and stuff like that. I mean, there is multiple things that I like about this movie, but there is definitely some. Okay, so like within like the first 5 minutes, dude, like, do they not have somebody they can call to like get a gravestone removed? Isn't that like somebody's job? Like
they're forever, man.
Just even if they find out they're alive, like that's You have to go out there yourself with a hammer. You can't just be like, hey, yeah, we found her. You could probably like remove that and then like get that empty coffin out of there, like if somebody else needs it. That's like a big one I had. And
I mean,
then
there is somebody else's body apparently in that coffin.
is there?
Yeah, because that was the whole point in the last movie. Is like it was a burned body that they buried, but it was unrecognizable.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's somebody, like some random person buried there.
Poor guy.
They had a family.
Girl. Oh my god. And something I forgot to point out in the last movie, but that still pertains to this one. Han dies in like 3 different ways in different movies. Have you noticed that? Like Tokyo Drift, he dies in a car crash. There is no semi truck involved. There is no dump truck or anything involved. And that's Shaw like destroys his car with a semi truck. And nobody ever walks towards the car in Tokyo Drift either. Like, but those are like, that's a big thing to me because I'm like, you have to, even if you go back and like compare those scenes, they don't match at all. Like, just so continuity wise, that's kind of like, that's not really like, I don't ding them for that, but it's also like all you have to do is watch your old movie, but that's just something that I saw, and that's actually irritated me for years because I watch all these and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. But and then, oh man, I have such a long list. I feel bad talking about it.
No, just let it out, man. Do your thing.
I love how Rome when they're planning everything is basically what the audience is screaming at screaming at the screen. They're like, why would you ever do that? That doesn't even make sense. Don't do that. And then he's like, yeah, why are we doing this? Let's do it my way. And then his idea is even worse than anybody could ever think of. I love that. I love Rome because he's like, he can be the down to earth guy, but also a complete idiot. And man, there's so many. Do you guys have any like problems with anything, or you just like completely love every bit of it?
I'll throw some stuff out here. Dom is hilarious in this movie for multiple reasons. First, there are multiple shots of him doing the like turn and like surprised face, like of him just like he does it multiple times, and each time is absolutely hilarious. His mumble growl that it's pretty rough in this movie, where it's just like him talking, you can hardly understand what he's saying.
I know what he's saying.
It's pretty fantastic.
He's saying, I am Groot.
Yeah, exactly. And then he does some dumb stuff in this movie. Just a couple of examples. The game of chicken that's not really chicken at the beginning with Statham, where they just run into each other's cars, is just the dumbest thing ever. It's so stupid, but whatever. And then him jumping off of the cliff with Ramsey when they're surrounded. I mean, first of all, don't get yourself into that situation. Just do some cool drifting like you've done in the last like 6 movies. And just drift around those cars that are coming at you, and you'll be fine. Like, as long as you turn your car sideways, you're fine, as we've learned. But no, he has to drive straight off the cliff into a situation that neither of them would ever survive, ever. So that is one of the things. The other thing is just the whole, like, Dubai, or I guess it's Abu Dhabi, whatever, scene in the Middle East, where they all pull up to that like beach, but they're each one of them is in like a separate car. It's like the most inefficient way ever to like get to anywhere. It's just like they're each going to show up in like a ridiculous car, which I wonder who picked the lineup for those cars too, because it's like the most random group of cars ever. It's like an old Viper, McLaren, a Bugatti, a Dodge Charger. It's like it's just really weird. And then there's the scene later on after the one, like, Ramsey's contact. He's like, yeah, so I can get you into this party, but you can't go like this. And they're like, okay. And then there's like a scene of them walking down some steps, like as a group, and they're all just like dressed like in like suits and stuff. And it's just like the most ridiculous like 5 seconds. And you're like, what is happening here? Why do we need this? Like this group shot of them all like looking cool and like just like they're going to prom or something stupid. It's like it's so dumb. It's so dumb. But it's those are probably my biggest kind of like gripes with it. The plot also is so convoluted and extra that it's really ridiculous.
That
and
is,
I think where the plots start to get really just out there.
The plot, I'm like, I like Statham. I like his idea. I like the symbolism that they're trying to do with the family stuff. But I'm like, good Lord. Like, I just do not care about anything that's happening. It's turned into yet again, another glorified heist movie. Like, again. So, yeah, no, I like that. Mikey, you got any more that you want to say? Yeah, I saw you were intently looking at your notes, so I wanted to make sure we covered it.
I've said it once. I think I've said it twice. I might have even said it 3 times. What is with Fast and Furious and harpoon guns? Why? Just why? Why do they need those?
No,
Did they
I
just
agree.
do them as callbacks at this point?
I don't know.
Like, and it's like, how would that even tear off the back of a bus? Like, I don't like, especially if it's armored. You know.
Well, no, I think what I think happened was they had like detonators at the end of the harpoons. So they shoot the harpoons and then say, yeah, and then it blows them up and then they pull the back off of it. So it's a little more believable, right?
That somehow makes it worse.
I have a question. Do you guys know how strong Dominic Toretto is?
Oh my God. How strong? How strong?
He's strong enough to lift up the front end of a supercar and hold it there for literally like minutes. He lifts up the front of a car, and I get it. Like, it's a supercar, it's one of a kind, but it's also supposed to be bulletproof, which means that it has some sort of armor. And no matter how like light a car is, you're not just picking that thing up. I don't care who you are. So that part too, where he's just like picks up the car and he's just holding it there. And then Brian trusts him enough to get under the car and be working under it for however long, trying to get that stupid thing out. I'm like, God, this is so dumb. Like, just so dumb.
Well said, Caleb. Well, yet another good hot take, honestly. And I can't fault you, honestly. There's so much to keep track of that is wrong with this movie, to where I'm just like, screw it, I don't care. Like, I just want to be entertained. And that's kind of what I felt like I got. I felt like I got just sheer entertainment, took the Fast and the Furious side out of it until the very end, and I was completely satisfied with what I got. And I think I heard this on a podcast the other day. This series rewards you for the reason you like it. The series rewards you for the reason you like it. And I thought that was like really good, because it's like, yeah, if you like the ridiculousness and you're like, oh, this is just pure junk food, pure Twinkies, it gives you the strawberry filled Twinkies in the next one, and like, I don't know, like at this point, it's just gotten for me, like, it's seasons 5 through whatever of The Office after Michael leaves at this point for me. And it's just a completely different set of movies that I think are just fine, for what they're trying to do, which is being the most big, ridiculous, out there, whatever. That being said, I don't think we've gotten that true form of what these movies are now until this one. I feel like they were just sprinkles and not fully realized versions of why, and then we do kind of blur those lines of, oh, well, what are they going to do next? I think maybe even back in Fast 5, just learning how to embrace the stupidity and the ridiculousness. Now it's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. This is fine. Kind of like Mikey said, I like this as a movie. I don't like this as a Fast and the Furious movie. And, because it's not, it's different now. It's just a completely different ball game now, And now that I know what the rules are for this one and the ones going forward, whereas I wasn't sure if I was on board with the rules last time, like, now I'm fully on board. So that being said, whatever. But that's kind of my 2 cents about the negative things in this movie. So there's that. But is there anything else you guys really wanted to bring out? Anything that like stands out?
I'll just bring out one more thing I forgot to touch on. Something I love about this movie. It might have my favorite music montage ever in a movie in it, and I think you know which one I'm talking about, Gabe. When they're preparing for that final scene, and it's Deftones' Tempest.
Yeah.
And they're, Dom's cutting off the shotgun, and then like they're all loading up, and then like my favorite part is when Brian puts on that bulletproof vest and he just rips the FBI patch off of it, and it's just like the music and everything is so perfect. I love it so much.
Yeah, kind of a callback, kind of like a callback to that original like that original time period. Like putting Deftones in a freaking movie, Deftones being like 20 years old at this point, that particular song, I think it's like, bringing back those vibes for sure. So yeah, I think while this movie is very flawed and very, B movie in some places, it has incredibly entertaining action sequences, has really cool effects. It has heart. That's one thing that I don't think a lot of movies, like, to me, this movie has just as much heart as a lot of the MCU movies do, personally. And to me, that's a really big deterring factor in enjoyment, is if I buy a lot of what these characters stand for. And I really do believe that, the core focus of these movies at this point is like the whole ride or die family thing. So there's that. But yeah, I think, if we're good to go, I think it's probably time to score this bad boy. You guys good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Caleb, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you give this out of 10? Caleb or Mikey, can you write these down?
Yeah. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. I mean, I like this movie a lot. It's got some really good stuff. I think it sends off Paul Walker like just about as perfectly as it possibly could. It sucks that we're not going to get him in any more of these movies unless, somehow they figure out CGI to really like work it in and things get a lot better. Which who knows, they could. I mean, they brought back Tarkin for Rogue One, so
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they can. But I really like it. It's got some ridiculousness, it's got some cheesiness, and The Rock shooting a thing of grenades that's attached to a helicopter to take out the bad guys. It's just like the ultimate, just like ridiculousness. But man, it's some good stuff. And as long as you can just realize, I think that these movies are being self-aware, that they're parodying themselves, and they want to be as ridiculous as possible because they want you to like laugh along with them almost at the ridiculousness. It's like they realize these are unrealistic and none of these things are ever going to happen, but they just want you to be entertained, and that's ultimately what they're doing. This isn't Martin Scorsese out here shooting a movie. I mean, they know what they are, and I just have a really hard time faulting them for that.
Yeah, that's well said. And my score is exactly the same as yours, 8.5. So, yeah, I think I'm dittoing what you just said because I can't say it better. So, Mikey?
Like we were talking about, I love the send-off. They took their time and made it a priority to send off Paul Walker in a really good way. And the story was interesting and it was fun. I really enjoyed, no matter how bad it like thinking it through wise it was. I love the scene where they jump out of the cars and jump out of the plane with the cars and parachute in. They have all those kitted out cars. That's awesome. I love every part of that. The second half of the movie is kind of not there for me all the way, but it's still good and it picks it back up, towards the end. And so I'll probably get a 7.5, which is a lot higher than I've been rating him. But it's just like, there's so many things that in this movie that I really don't like, but there's a lot more that I do like that outweighs it, in my opinion. So this is probably one of the better newer ones, in my opinion. I really like this one.
Man, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, because there's just something about it, like, it feels like everybody's trying in this one, like not taking it like, oh, this is just another Fast and Furious movie, you know, like they're trying and doing and actually putting in work to it. So that's why I'm rating it higher than a lot of the other ones that I have.
Well said. I think that's a perfectly fine score, and yeah, I think it's a worthy score from all of us here at the Wannabe Critic for Fast and the Furious 7. So there we go, guys. We're running out of movies.
Yeah.
We have 2 left. We have Fast and Furious 8.
No, just one.
No, Furious 8
No,
and Hobbs and
just
Shaw.
one.
Hobbs and
Just
Shaw.
one.
Hobbs and Shaw. You freaking coward. Hobbs and Shaw is going to happen. We have the Fate of the Furious next on the slate of the Fast and Furious movies, as well as Hobbs and Shaw after that. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for our next series that we're going to be announcing in the next few weeks. Caleb, you just got really excited. Are you all right?
No, I can't wait for the moment when we watched Hobbs and Shaw, and like Mikey's been so against it since we started this months ago, and I just hope that somehow he comes out and he's just like, man, I think that's my favorite movie in the whole series. Like, I just love it so much. I just love it.
I could see it happening. Yeah, I could see it happening. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see what happens.
So happy.
Yeah, that would. I don't know. Only time will tell. But
I can tell right now.
if people wanted to find you now, Caleb, where can they find you?
Chief in NY18 on Twitter. So just hit me up there, and I'll probably tweet some stuff every once in a while. But yeah, go for it.
There you go. And Mikey, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at wannabe Mikey C. I have no idea how to use Twitter, but I have one, and I'll try to figure it out.
There you go. And you can always find us. You can always, if you just want to go the easier route, you can obviously follow those guys on Twitter. But if you want to follow me on Twitter at the Wannabe Critic, or on any other social media platform at the Wannabe Critic, listen to our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, any social media platform, the Wannabe Critic. It's pretty easy to remember. Definitely go do that there. If you want to email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com, you can do that. You can also contact us on our website at wannabecritic.com, as well as seeing our full content schedule, what we have slated, what we got coming up. We have merch, we got t-shirts, we got all kinds of stuff going on the website. So definitely give that a go. Check that out. Let us know how we're doing. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. You've been listening to the Wannabe Critic. We really appreciate you guys. Say goodbye, Mikey.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Caleb.
Hi, everyone.